My name is Emmett J. Scanlan, and this is Life in Film Podcast.
This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, turning on the Christmas lights this year, Dublin's very own Paul, 9 inches O'Donnell, yeah!
Our guest today isn't afraid to push himself out of his comfort zone, from low-budget movies, soap villain of the year, to fight his way to be in some of the biggest shows on TV, and now movies. We chat about becoming a Peaky Blinder, why working with Guy Ritchie is a joy, messing up in front of Tom Hardy, and how, when he was on the verge of quitting, Rocky helped him out of his darkest days. Our guest today is actor Emmett J. Scanlan.
We are now in my bedroom, which I grew up in. I'm 47 years of age, so maybe I moved here into this house, into this bedroom when I was 8, 9 years of age, and I'd sleep on the bed over here, listening to Dr. Hook, Greatest Hits, which was the tape that my mum gave me. I later got my first album was Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1. Irrelevant. I'm segue. My daughter is now living here. She's an AD. She's followed Daddy's footsteps. She's behind the camera. She's doing a Rachel incident by Element Pictures, the phenomenal production.
Is that a little bit scary? Like if your daughter's now kind of following in your footsteps, you've obviously been a good, someone to look up to. Is that concerning or is that exciting?
What do you mean? Is that concerning? F you, man. I'm a great role model. No,
I mean the film industry. Going into the film industry.
Oh shit! Oh,
not you as a role model.
I understand. I understand what you mean. Of course. Is it concerning? Absolutely not, because I don't give a shit whether she can be in front of the camera, behind the camera. She could be working in. I don't know. I was working in a fucking butcher's for all I care, so long as she's following her dharma, her purpose in life, as long as she's got love and happiness, and that's all I really care about, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I mean, we're both fathers now, right? And all we should really care about is preparing our kids for a happy, joyful, playful life. A life that we will never get to see them finish. And that is the best case scenario. Our job as parents are to be memories for our kids and ghosts for their future. And it is imperative that you and I make sure that those are good fucking memories. So that's my job. I will literally just shepherd her in whatever direction she wants to go in, whatever makes her happy, whatever brings a smile to her face. Because I remember Kin season 1. There was a line masterfully written by Peter McKenna, and my character says, "You're only ever as happy as your unhappiest child." So for your own mental health, it's important that your children are happy. So in answer to your question, long-winded, that my answer is she can do whatever the fuck she wants, so long as she's smiling. So, okay. Anyway, so let's get back to
carry on.
Let's go back over here to this, where I grew up, and we're going to go in here, right? And I'm going to show you a select. Well, first of all, let's start up at the top. We've got all my comic books that I would collect, and we've got some really good ones in here. We've got like some #1 editions of X-Men, Age of Apocalypse. I even have DC versus Marvel crossovers. The Sandman, which is a masterpiece. Just fantastic. We've got David Eddings fantasy books. These are the world that I would live in. These kind of books. On my own in this room. I spent a lot of time on my own actually growing up. It's a pretty fucking lonely time sometimes. Robert Jordan, brilliant escapisms right here for me, and that's not invaluable. And then we come on to the DVDs, and for all of those who are too young to understand what that is, f you. So we go into, let's have a little look. This here is genius. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's called Cube. Download it, watch it, do whatever you got to do. We have Let's see, we got 12 Monkeys, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, Usual Suspects, Sopranos. What else we got here? White Men Can't Jump. Fucking brilliant.
Oh man, what a classic.
Aliens, Fight Club, Serpico, Road Trip. What's that one there? Donnie Brasco. Come on. City of God, City of Men, Mississippi Burning, Snatch, Bronx Tale, Misery, Deer Hunter.
Misery is so good.
Oh, mate is
It's a hard sell
unbelievable.
though. I've been trying to get my wife to watch it, and she's like, "No, it's called Misery."
It makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. You have to be there are some movies here, right, where you're looking at it and going like, this is like this like so influenced me,
Oh
changed my
man.
life. I was fucking 9 when I watched that. I haven't been able to get into the ocean since. I'm gonna call my son Ocean as well. But there are some movies here that are like masterful. Like there's one down here. We got Daredevil. I quite like that one actually. As good as it gets. Dogville is a masterpiece, right? Dogville is an absolute masterpiece. 6 out of 5 stars for me. You have to be in the mood to watch it. It's one of those things that well, you're glad you've seen it, but you probably won't see it again. Myself and my wife, we went to see Hamnet on my birthday on the 31st of January this year, and she was ugly crying beside me for the whole fucking thing. And it's really heartbreaking, certainly when you're a father and you fall into that unconditional love. And then the little boy kind of reminded me of my son, and we watched it and we thought it was brilliant. And Jessie Buckley was extraordinary. Her primal scream was Jesus Christ. We thought it was brilliant, but I'm not going to watch it again. It's brilliant, but that's it. I'm done. So you need to have 28 Days Later, Pulp Fiction, Magnolia, Dusk Till Dawn, brilliant. Anyway, and there's a couple of about Tommy Tiernan. There's a couple of embarrassing ones. There's bound to be a couple of embarrassing ones, but I just can't find them.
No,
Anyway.
I mean that's a solid. I mean, there'd be some really embarrassing ones if you went in my cupboard. All dogs go to heaven and shit like that.
Hey, that's a good one.
And it is a good one. It is a good one. I couldn't think of a really embarrassing one, but Jaws is one of those movies. I think it's obviously influenced so many people, and I've got a huge poster of it in this room. Actually, I would show you, but I'd have to detach everything. But Jaws,
So,
yeah, you watched that very young, did you?
yeah, man. Because when you talk about movies, since I guess we're going to be talking about movies and acting and whatnot, from a very, very, very young age, like my first memories of movies was always horror, and I even put Jaws in that to a certain degree, the horror. But I would watch terrifying movies like The Poltergeist, Exorcist, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Ghoulies. I don't know if you've ever seen The Ghoulies. There was a scene in The Ghoulies where this guy was sitting down, going to the toilet, and the ghoulie came up from the toilet and ate his bollocks. I saw that at 9 years of age and couldn't without hovering for about 2 or 3 years. That's a true story. So I was like, I'd watch like horrors with my mum. My sister was too young, she said, to watch them because she was only a year and 8 months younger than me. 9 is fine, but 7 off. And my dad didn't like horror movies, so it would be me and my mum watching these crazy, crazy things for like a little kid to watch. But I loved it. I'm like I wanted to be to see them. So she would let me watch zombies eat the brains of the living. But the minute a woman pulled up her top and you could see her breast, it was like, shut your eyes, Emmett. Shut your eyes. Now I could watch the violence, but what I wasn't allowed to watch, the horror movie that I wasn't allowed to watch was what was underneath a woman's top. Was out of bounds, which is a weird moral barometer for my mom. But there you go. Yeah, I guess in hindsight, I'm glad. Uh, yeah, so that's kind of where my love for movies in the horror genre kind of came about. But the movie that changed me, the movie that influenced me, the movie that set me on this path, a path I'm forever grateful for, was Rocky. Rocky to me is a masterpiece. Sylvester Stallone's performance and everybody in that cast is masterful. It was it, it I couldn't Elliot, I couldn't believe when I was watching it, probably at the ripe old age of 9 as well. Couldn't believe watching it that I was feeling this, that this movie, this story was making me feel these emotions. And I felt it touched, and I remember looking at, I remember looking at Stallone and going, "What is it that you're doing? I want to do what you're doing because this feeling that I have inside watching this is extraordinary, and I wonder what it's like to do what you do, and what the best case scenario is. Maybe one day do something that can maybe touch, not in that way, touch somebody else, and make them feel the way I felt as a 9 year old shadowboxing behind my couch, watching it time and time and time and time again. And I think I've told this story many times, so forgive me, but and I'm not sure what part of it's real and what part of it's not, but I'm pretty sure at that age, I knew I wanted to be an actor, or I thought I wanted to be a hero like he was. Now, I ain't no fucking hero, so we both know what I became. And the irony of that is because of my like face, I usually get cast as the villain or the Dolph Lundgren of my TV series or my movies. But get cast I do, which is which is the end game really.
100%. Yeah. I mean, every time for anyone that's watching this that doesn't know, you have a tradition that every time you get a role, you celebrate with, a cold bottle of, is it champagne?
Champagne, mate. Yeah.
And I see it, and it feels like it happens weekly for you. I'm like, he's got another job, man. He's got another one. He's got another. But I love that. It's such a lovely, to have that little celebration, because sometimes we forget, we get caught up in it.
Well, yeah, well, that comes from just finding gratitude. It's almost an exercise, if you will. Right now, I've been doing it for so long that basically, for anybody who doesn't know, I keep a bottle of fizz in the fridge. And every time I open that fridge door and I see that bottle of fizz, I'm reminded to be grateful for the good news that's coming, the good news that's already here. Every time I open that fridge, it reminds me to be grateful. So whatever your poison, whether it's fizzy champagne or fizzy water, I hope you keep her chill, keep on popping, and always fucking restocking. And it's like almost like a shortcut for me to remind myself to be grateful. It's easy to be grateful for the big things. It's easy to be grateful for the wins, booking a job or celebrating the birth of your wonderful child and our children, or whatever the case may be. That's the easy part. But it's trying to be grateful for the little things, the ordinary things, the things that we take for granted, like the power in my laptop, being able to talk to you after 2 years of trying to avoid you, to the coffee in my cup, to the water in my glass, to the food in my belly, the clothes on my back, the heating in this room, but the things that we take for granted. Once we get into that kind of, without it sounding so angry, once we get into that rhythm of gratitude, it's profound. I found it it's one of the most powerful prayers that you can say is thank you. And there's like two ways of I'm sure there's plenty more, but in my experience, there's two ways of being successful, and one is to go out there and hunt for everything that you want, and the second and easier way is to want everything that you already have. And then from that place of wanting everything that you already have, all the shit that you think that you want will just end up coming as a result of that, as a result of vibrating in that frequency of gratitude.
Very difficult, isn't it? As you know, I'm an actor as well. We did work together many years ago. You didn't remember me, but we did. We were on. We had this conversation before, but
That's true.
and being in this sort of industry, you have to be so strong, but you also, in between the jobs, you have to bring that positivity, those good vibes, because there's so many people that fall by the wayside, that become bitter and like angry, and not getting the jobs they want and everything else. It's so easy to fall into that trap. So I think it's such a nice thing that you do that. And
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sure that brings more goodness, you know?
yeah, and it's about it's about showing, it's about celebrating the wins, but also it's so fucking important to your point as well, celebrate other people's wins. What you want for yourself, want for other people. It makes, because I think if you're if yeah, envy and jealousy is not a nice place to operate in, and it can only lead to downfall and loneliness and bitterness. And it's you know, it's I don't want to operate on those base levels. I want to be up here, you know. And that's not to say that I don't drop down every once in a while. Of course I do. We're only human, right? But I try and do the best that I can be, and operate from a higher level. But that just comes with routine, my morning routine and all that other stuff that comes with it.
Well, before we talk about, you know, some of the projects you've done recently and the success you have had, um, in terms of the beginning, you know, early 2000s, I believe, you know, my homework comes from IMDb, so sometimes it's not completely true.
Wikipedia. I'm not sure though that's true, but go
Well,
on.
anyone could add to Wikipedia as well. It's
Yeah.
even more dangerous. You know, a mixture of the two is probably good. In terms of that, you know, the first moment, the first kind of, you said the films that influenced you, but that first step to becoming an actor and going, oh, I want to get an agent or I want to get an acting job. What was that kind of first few steps?
Well, once I realized what my dharma was, my purpose in life, which was to basically, acting to me is the Neverland syndrome, the Peter Pan syndrome, the never grow up syndrome. It's I'm so happy when I'm on set, and the fact that I get to do the thing that I love, which is live inside my imagination and get paid for it. I'm basically playing like what I did when I was a kid, cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, whatever that is. Now I'm doing it as a grown up, getting dressed up and putting on makeup. Um, uh, I knew that the power of storytelling from Rocky, and I was obsessed with movies from a very young age. So I didn't know how to get into it, nor did I have any master plan. All I had was an obsession. I auditioned. My first audition was a school play. I was in an all boys school. It was a school play called Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was 14 years of age. I was too young. It was unheard of to have only fifth and sixth years, which is your final 2 years in college back here in Ireland, right? Just before you go to university. Fifth and sixth years got speaking parts. I was 14 years of age, but I booked a part. A guy called Jerry Haw. He gave me a part as the butler. I had 4 lines, and I still remember those lines. I couldn't tell you, that was 30 years ago. I couldn't tell you what my lines were in Mobland 3 weeks ago. I can't. I couldn't even remember you from our host. But I will never forget those lines. They were my first ever lines. I will never forget going out onto that stage in front of what felt like thousands, was probably just a couple of hundred people, and feeling that energy, that exchange in energy, uh, and uh, singing my lines and walking off stage and getting a round of applause. It was the first time anybody had ever clapped anything I'd ever done. I was 14 years of age, and I was like, "Oh my God!" That feeling of approval, that connection that I had with the audience and me. Was that the same thing that I had when I was 9 watching Rocky? I don't know, but there was something there, you know. Uh, and also it was, you know, I had a crush on one of the girls in the production as well. So that certainly helped and influenced it. But I thought maybe this is something that I can be okay at. It's certainly a lovely outlet from which to hide from the world, don a mask and kind of be another version of yourself, or a feather of your own, of your personality, that whatever feather you decide to peacock in that time. So yeah, so that was my first taste, but I had no idea what I was doing. And it can be argued that I still don't, but here we are. Here we are on the Life in Film podcast.
You've made it. You're on here.
I've peaked fucker.
You've peaked. It's only taken 2 years to get you on here, but you're here now. You're here.
The most difficult guest to book.
William Dafoe, nothing compared to you. You've been the most difficult person to get on here. Man, yeah, honestly though, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. But in terms of, that is the moment that you remember, and you remember those lines. It's obviously it affected you deeply. What was the kind of right? I'm gonna go off and I'm actually gonna do this for a living. Like, what kind of mad
Because I had
decisions?
because I wasn't there was never this was never not the plan. I mean, I didn't have a plan, but I wasn't going to do anything else.
Mm.
I had to. I went to university. I studied history and sociology and got an honors degree in history and sociology, philosophy, and because it's what my mum wanted. Is what she needed, and and she said, if you get your degree, I will support you for the first year of your acting. And I went, well, I'll do that. And then in the meantime, I'll join drama soc. In the meantime, my part-time jobs will be working in a video store, VHS, working in a cinema. It had to be, parallel to the thing that I wanted to do. I even taught classes. I didn't know what I was doing, but I even taught classes in my mum's Montessori. It was a free room, and people would come into the class, and I'd bring a casting director. I was one of the first here in this country to bring like a casting director in at the end, so everybody in the class would get to audition for a casting director, and we prepare like a scene. And I put them in the Montessori and put them in the little children's chairs, and they'd be like, "Why are we in children's chairs?" And I was like, "To get in touch with your inner child." Whatever. But it was just that it was free. But it was a great environment. These giant fucking, pencils and whatnot. But I needed money, and I needed to be able to fund this passion and this dream, but I just didn't know what I was doing when I was fumbling around. Um uh so yeah, I think that was how it happened.
You did that before you kind of really started getting the work. You were like, I'm gonna teach this thing.
I'm gonna teach this thing I know nothing
Pretty
about.
scary.
But it was really cool. I learned so much from it, and I hope people also learn from it. And then somebody would book a job, and you'd feel such fucking pride
Mm.
in that. But while I was trying to like teach it and figure it out, and we were all trying to figure those things out. I'd also write and direct my own movies. I wrote my own scripts, and I got a bunch of friends, and we collaborated together, and we did movies, man. We did shorts. Nobody was casting me in this country. Nobody would see me in this country, and probably for a good reason. I'm like, God knows what I was like in my 20s. But it was one of those things where like I will work in the video shop, I'll work in the cinema, I will write my own movies, I will cast myself, I will lead my own movies, and I will direct my own stuff. And by constantly putting myself into that thinking mind, it's like, if you can hold it up here, you can hold it here. You can make this, you can turn your thoughts into things. So my thoughts always had to be about this thing that I wanted, and that was how it came about. I think. I mean, but bearing in mind, I have a fucking appalling memory. That could have been a dream.
Well, as long as it's rose tinted, it doesn't matter. As long
Yeah,
as it's exactly on you,
it's definitely slightly rose tinted.
then it's fine. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a hard industry, and getting any sort of job in acting is crazy.
Mm.
Was there a job that changed everything for you? You suddenly were like, oh, right, I can actually, I'm going to get work, and this is going to work, and I can be an actor professionally, and something that felt like a bit of a shift, a bit of a sort of a game changer for you.
Well, I mean, there's been a number peppered throughout the career. I mean, we probably wouldn't even have time, like the first lead I ever got was a movie called Charlie Casanova. It's a great movie written by a lad called Terry McMahon, and it's about a sociopath who makes all his decisions based on the draw of a card. Ace to five, yes. Six to ten, no. He would have a deck of cards. You'd have to ask yourself a question that would take you outside of your comfort zone. Anywhere from robbing a store to cutting your throat. You put your power in the deck of the cards. Charlie Casanova was the name of the movie. It's a beautiful, beautiful script. I wasn't cast in Charlie Casanova, but I knew Terry McMahon, and I knew that he was auditioning for the leading woman, for the leading lady in it, and two of the parts actually. And the guy that he had originally cast as Charlie Casanova was unavailable. He was doing theater, so he couldn't be there for the audition process. So I said to him, "Well, I'll step in. I'll learn the scenes, and I'll step in, and I'll just do it." He said, "He's already given me a small part in the movie, one scene in the movie." And I said, "Brilliant. Well, then I'll happily step in. Does it mean that I get to play with a whole bunch of actresses and we get to do this? I get to say these words?" He goes, "Yeah. Is it for the afternoon? Yeah. You want to go to the pub afterwards? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll fucking do it." So and then I'm doing these auditions with the girls, and I've got no skin in the game. I'm just doing it because I love doing it. I'm just doing it because he's a friend and I just want to help out. That's all. That's my motive. There's no other ulterior motive. And as I'm doing this, bam, bam, bam. Anyway, we finish up. I get in the car. I drive off to somebody that I was maybe seeing at the time. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, but I'm in my car and I get a call and it's him. And he goes, "Oh no, what was it? Oh, maybe no. I think he was. I think the look changed on his face when we were doing the auditions. When he was trying to cast a lady, a look changed on his face, and he looked at me and went, "You're Charlie, aren't you?" That was it. "You're Charlie, aren't you?" And I was like, "What?" And in that moment, I got the part. In that moment, I was Charlie Casanova. And then he had to explain to whoever the other actor was that it wasn't going to be him and it was me. And then for over 11 days with a budget of €900, we shot Charlie Casanova. But 2 weeks beforehand, I would go around town with a deck of cards asking people if they'd like to play a game that would take them outside of their comfort zone. I'd go up to strangers and we went on some wild rides. And it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my time, and it was really taxing, and I put a lot of work into it, and it was picked up by Studio Canal. I went all over to all the festivals. It won prizes everywhere. It was really, I got nominated. Oh yeah, I got now that's nice. I got nominated for a Rising Star Award in the IFTAs here in Ireland. Didn't win, but whatever. I'm actually very good at not winning. I've been nominated a few times and won none all the time. Yeah, and then I remember watching that back when I'd watch myself quite a bit, and I was like, wow, I was really, 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 really proud of it, and still am to this day. I think you can get it on Amazon for about £1. I think that was the first thing, and then from that moment, from Charlie Casanova, I went because now I was surrounded by this. Now I was on a roll, or I was picking up some momentum, or at least my frequency was up a little bit more. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. And then I booked Hollyoaks straight away in May 19th, 2010 to play Brendan Brady I only signed up for 3 months, but ended up being there for 2 years and 300 episodes. So it was kind of, yeah. And then that was another shift. That was when I started to get recognized. Didn't know how to handle that. That was tough. Still, it can be even now, but I certainly didn't know how to handle that one. And then Hollyoaks, and then after that, there are certain moments where you have little pinch me moments, like a Derry Girls or a Peaky Blinders, but then Kin just changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was it, and that's Kin made it easier.
All those shows that you just mentioned are kind of, people, they're in the zeitgeist. Everyone knows what those shows are. they've done very well, and for an actor to be in anything like that, it must be like, hang on a minute, it's like complete game changer.
Yeah, it's a dream, man.
It's funny, like as much as you don't remember any of this, and we've talked about this in the past. You doing Charlie Casanova was an influence on me because I remember when we were doing Hollyoaks together, we were having a conversation that you don't remember, but we had it. And
By the way, any of my mates, any of my family that are watching this would go like, "Yeah, classic Scan." It's unbelievable. I didn't turn up for dinner for two of my mates because I forgot we'd made it the day before. Well, we can talk about that later.
Again, I'm so glad that you're here and you remembered to turn up.
But you did text
3 times this morning. Oh, we definitely we on.
And I was asleep when the text came in. So I mean, it's what time is it now? 3:30. It was an afternoon nap. Come on, please tell me your story.
So yeah, that movie influenced me because you were someone going from a soap, and in my mind, I didn't realize you'd shot it before Hollyoaks, but I knew that you were obviously in Hollyoaks at this point. You'd done this lead role in a feature film. It was low budget, but it looked great. And I remember watching it and being like, it's possible to move on from a soap and do a film. And that was around the time where I got offered Northern Soul, and I was umming and ahhing because with Hollyoaks, it's a lot of money, and they offered me another year, and I was like, do I risk it and go and do this film, or do I stay here and play it safe? And like now it seems like the obvious choice to go and do the film, take the risk. It wasn't that obvious at 21, thinking and that talking to you about that, and you being like, do it, man, you should go do it 100%, take the risk. And I did. And that I'm so glad. That is like the biggest choice of my career so far, to go and take that risk. So it was a huge influence on me.
Wow.
Absolutely made no effect on you, clearly, because you don't. But I just wanted to say that, and we have chatted about that before. But like, I think it's just so important. You championed me and made me feel like, oh, I can believe in myself to go off and do this risky thing.
Amazing, man. That means the world. It means the world to me. You can do fucking anything. Look what we're doing right now. And I don't remember it. I never will, but I never will. But I'll never forget you. I mean, I think
you might remember some of this now, maybe. Possibly.
I might remember some of this when I look back on it and go like, oh, no,
I feel like we've recorded this a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But moving on, like talking about, going on to shows like Peaky Blinders, Derry Girls, Kin, when you step on set, obviously you've had years of preparation for this. You've been on many, many sets. But when you step onto a set like Peaky Blinders, which I believe was already established when you went and joined it.
It was.
What is that? Is there a pressure there, or is it excitement? Like, do you get imposter syndrome, or is it just like,
mate, the imposter syndrome doesn't go away. I mean, there's never a time when you're not getting on set and just going like I fucked up a scene with Hardy on Mobland when we were shooting in season 2, and I was appalling. He was amazing as he always is, but every day is a school day. Every day is a school day, and there's none. Then you get in your own head, and then you forget your lines. The lines that you learn so goddamn well that you don't even
them backwards, but you're still like they've gone.
Yeah. The minute you start thinking about something, the minute you don't get into a flow, you're fucked. Then you're gonna get. The secret to acting is do not get caught acting, and I was caught acting, and it was embarrassing. And I think I've even blushed. So there's never a time like, and I only mentioned that because it's the most recent one. Yeah. So we're talking Peaky Blinders was a few years ago. I'm talking a couple of weeks ago. So that I think that happens, and I don't want to get complacent and to let that not happen. I just have to learn how to shut that insidious little inside my head down a little bit quicker, and I am getting better at that, trying to learn to quieten this fella in here, get out of my own fucking way and just turn up and flow. That's the idea. When I got Peaky Blinders, thankfully to Anthony Byrne, phenomenal director, a director I've worked with 4 times. I was so excited, man. I was buzzing. I was like, get me on set. I just want. By the way, even though I have the imposter syndrome, it'll be like I want to play with these guys. I want to dance with these guys. I want to get on set with Killian and Pierce and Tom. I want to go. I want to see what this feels like. This exchange feels like. So I was super excited. I would get into the Garrison pub, and Arthur Shelby would be there, and he goes, "You're a Peaky Blinder now." And one of the takes was one of my first scenes where I had to sign like sign myself over to them or give them some info while they were like bullying me or gaslighting me. And he says, "You're a Peaky Blinder now, Billy." And I just burst out laughing. I went, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "Okay, cut. Let's go again." I says, "I'm so sorry, but that's awesome. I'm a big," it was that kind of like that childlike quality. I've still got on set, and then you're meeting these actors that have inspired you to continue going, to not give up, to continue you're meeting these actors that have turned you on or giving you reason to fall more and more in love with the craft, the reason why you fell in love with it the first time. You befriend the actors behind the characters that you've already fallen in love with as well, because it's Peaky Blinders, one of the best British shows ever made, in my opinion. Stephen Knight is a fucking poet, and led by Killian. I mean, what more can you ask for? So I guess, yes, there is the imposter syndrome, but once you learn how to navigate that, Guy, which is the only thing that I'm worried about, really. I'm afraid of nothing else. Don't be worried about the thief in the alley that's after your wallet. Be worried about the thief in your mind that's after your promises. You got to be fucking careful of this little bastard and quieten them down. But once you work hard on that and believe in yourself, love the game, fall in love with the game unconditionally, like a father to his child, then you'll never give up, and you'll keep on going, regardless of when he starts telling you you're not good enough, blah blah blah. Because I've had those dark days. I've marinated in that inky blackness.
Everyone's fighting that. I mean, it's yeah, as you say, the minute you start acting or become self-conscious, it's over, really. You need to get out of your own way, as you say. One of the things I noticed about a lot of your performances, and you mentioned it earlier, that you've played a lot of villains or dastardly characters, but you always find the light, you find comedy, and you find little moments that, and I'm particularly thinking of like Mobland. There's moments in there that I'm like watching it going, that's not in the script. Emmett's done that. Or like, I can't even think what it was, but there was a bit when you're in the pub eating some crisps and it's really noisy and they're both like, and I was like, I don't know if that's in the script or not, but those little comment moments, if they are, that's a gift. What things like that, are those little bits that you've added in, or are they in the scripts?
Well, first of all, you got a writer like Jez Buttersworth is a genius, really. I will say something. I will say this: when I signed up for Mobland, I signed up for 9 episodes. I was told in no uncertain terms that I was going to be killed off in episode 9 or beforehand, and I was like, I don't care. Do I get to be on set with Pierce, Helen, Tom, Paddy? Do I get to dance with Guy Ritchie and Anthony Byrne again? Lawrence, these fantastic directors. And he goes, yeah, but then I don't give a f if I'm opening a door and closing the door and saying yes, Conrad, no, Conrad. Fuck off, Paul. Got it, Conrad, and get leaving. I don't care. Just get me on. Plus 9 episodes is fantastic, or maybe less than that. So I kind of knew that going in there, my fate, and I also knew that you could cut away my character and my storyline. It would make absolutely no difference to the overall arc of the thing whatsoever. So there was an intense, there was a huge level of freedom in being able to do that. And then somewhere along the way that they changed their minds. Halfway through it, they changed their minds, and script 8 came along and still not dead. Script 9 came along, still not dead. Script 10 came along, still not dead. And it's the end of the season. I'm going into season 2. I'm like, what the hell? I remember meeting Jez at the premiere in Leicester Square. We'd wrapped on the 26th. The premiere was on the 27th. Right? And then it aired on the 31st of March. So it was, I mean, it's crazy. Nothing I've ever experienced before, and probably never will again, but it's a remarkable experience. And I remember seeing Jez. I'd never met him before in my life. I went, Jez, thank you so much for writing for me, man, and not f***ing killing me. And then he said something really nice, which I'm not going to share here, but whatever it was. But I gave him a big fucking bear hug, and I thanked him again. And I'm pretty sure that if there wasn't anybody around, I'd still be hugging him right now. In answer to your question, that job is the most extraordinary gift ever. You're getting great scripts with a fantastic crew. The stakes are so high. And there's such a chill vibe, and it's very collaborative and very to and fro, and you can really play with the material, so to speak. Absolutely, that Jez wrote and Chris was saying.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now. Please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life in Film Pod. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeandfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeandfilm. We are sponsored by movieposters.com. Are you a movie fan? I presume you are. Well, at movieposters.com, you can shop for all your favorite posters in one place. The #1 source for high quality, authentic movie posters. From new releases to cult classics and 100% authentic originals. Thinking of having a browse? Well, if you see a poster that tickles your fancy, as a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off with promo code LifeandFilm10. That's promo code LifeandFilm10. So why not give it a go? And back to the show.
Guy Ritchie's he's a kind of a mythical creature. You hear rumors and kind of stories about him that kind of feel godlike. What's his directing style? And I heard that he directs from a trailer. Is that true, or is that completely?
He's got his own Winnebago. Yeah, man. He's I got a part in a movie called In the Grey, which comes out, and I don't know when comes out. Actually, it could be out when this comes
probably
out.
Just before that, because clever timing and all that.
Very nice. My first flirtation with Guy was in 2023, 6 weeks in Tenerife.
So you shot that first before?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been, I mean, it's been finished ages ago, but for whatever reasons, from the way above my pay grade, it was delayed. So, so it was 6 weeks in Tenerife, and to do this Guy Richie project, which was called Untitled Guy Ritchie Project. Didn't even know the name of it. And it being on set with Guy is when he does come out of his Winnebago to direct / teach, because it is a class. It is wonderful to watch how his mind works. He's got an extraordinary childlike energy, an impish, mischievous glint in his eye. watching his brain work so fast while he's working out dialogue and scene structure, and the speed in which he operates is like a controlled chaos, an unpredictable predictability, or whatever that is. And there's an energy around that anytime he walks on set. You'd have like an example of a scene would be where there was like, I think it was like three of us on three actors in this particular scene. He goes, right, what are we thinking? Okay, anyone have any ideas? Somebody says something. He goes, nah, maybe no, not that. And then someone says something else. He goes, oh, I like that. Okay, so you say this, you say that, you say that. Let me hear it. No. You say this, you say that, you say that, you say that. Let me hear it. Okay, I say you don't say anything. You say this, you say that, you say that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, go back to his Winnebago. Pop, pop, pop. Let's move on.
Wow.
But he's got such a rich, successful, and I just called out, I don't know if I saw Snatch in there, I don't know if I called that out, but successful canon of work, that when you're on set with him, that when you're moving on. He's either got it or it's on the cutting room floor, but you're not left hung out to dry. You trust the process, and you trust the man. And he's beautiful, and I never really got to peacock in front of him for In the Grey. Even though in hindsight the whole experience was a peacock moment, he was like being able to do that. But I have been invited back to work with him time and time again. This is my third time working with him every year since 2023, 24, and 25, doing In the Grey, Mobland, and Mobland 2. And each time I learn more, and each time it's better. But he knows that he's intelligent enough to know, and I would think we all are, that while we love structure, and there is structure, and a schedule and a script and stuff like that, on a dime you have to change it. And in changing, there's an organic feel, there's a chaos there, and that's where magic can be born.
Mm-hmm.
Moments of magic can be born and caught on camera in the lens. And he goes, that's it, let's go, let's move on. So I don't know what I've added to his name by saying that to you. I hope that
the myth, the law.
Yeah, the myth, though. I hope it's a positive thing, because it's nothing but a positive experience having worked with him 3 times, and I'd work with him again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 100%. And then, In the Grey looks like a lot.
It looks good, right?
Yeah, it looks like classic Guy Ritchie, and you're just like, oh, and obviously Jake Gyllenhaal's in it, Henry Cavill.
Is it
Cavill?
Cavill or Cavill? I thought it was Henry.
I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill, I think.
A very dry humor, Henry. Very, very,
Has he?
very funny guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got some lovely moments in the trailer, so I'm looking forward to seeing, the finished.
There was that. If you see in the trailer, Christian is one of my very close friends, Cuban lad from American Cuban, and he's there's Henry throws the bag.
Yeah,
to
the
Jake.
bag.
Jake moves out of the way. Christian catches it, and in between takes, I say, "Chris, it's like we've done this loads of times before. You throw to me. It's like, hi ho, it's after work we go. We work all day. We have no play. Hi ho." He throws it to you. You throw it to me. And he's like, yeah, cool. he throws it, and he kept it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I love that. That was another moment I was like, that feels like it's probably like worked out on the day, like one of those things you say, magical thing happens, and it just
Yeah,
looks
but
really
that's
real,
it.
natural.
And because there's, and that's another thing about, even though then in doing that project, we go back to the imposter syndrome, I felt like, oh my God, but he allows that freedom to make choices. And if nothing's said, you're okay. You keep going. You might push it more, and then on the if it doesn't fit, you'll be told.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a world where certainly within his world and his universe, where you can take those choices, or you can take big swings, bold swings, and see if it turns out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? No, take 2, got it.
Yeah. Don't do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything you can say about Mobland season 2? I think I can see a little kind of laser dot on your head, so maybe you're not allowed to say anything, but
No, I can't I wouldn't want to because it'll only spoil it, and I love surprises, and I
Mm.
can only imagine that anybody who loves movies loves that as well.
Oh man, I'm a big fan of the first season, so I'll definitely.
It's crazier than the first season. It's season two is season one on steroids. I said this before, but it's like if season one was a wild dog, then season two is a wild dog and with rabies. It's absolutely mental.
No.
It's crazy, crazy. Beautiful scripts, and really fun. I loved season one, but I think it's better than
Mm.
season one.
Have you finished eating it yet?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
finished.
Oh, so it's got a bit of a gap between the finish and
This
the.
time it does. This
Yeah,
this one it does. The first one was out straight away, week after week after week. This one has a little bit of gap, but will be out this year.
Nice, lovely. And
Mm.
to change gear a little bit, do you have an audition moment that you can go back to that was absolutely horrendous? Or
Horrendous.
we've all been there where you go in a room and you think, oh, I know these lines and I know this character, and then you get thrown off for whatever reason and it goes south fast.
Yeah, I do. It's not the one that pops into my mind when you say that is I auditioned for it was pilot season in LA. An awful time. I hated pilot season. It's just like speed dating auditioning. It's just you don't have time to put any work in. It's like a cattle call. It's one-on-one with a casting director who has about 50 other people that she or he needs to see. You get maybe a one take, and I'm not very good at the whole audition process. I love self-tape and if required, but the one that comes to mind while doing was pilots. I don't even know if they still do pilot season, but back when they did. Anyway, it's for the character. There's a lot of dialogues, like fast moving, fast speaking, not unlike Sherlock. Intelligence, rhetoric, etc., etc. And so I put a lot of work into this. This is the one I wanted. I had maybe 6 or 8 auditions, and by the time I got there and I came in, there was construction work outside. I walked into the room and the casting director, she was sitting down and she was on, I don't know, it was a BlackBerry or just a phone or whatever, but she was doing some sort of email. And I went, hi. And she didn't look at me, and she just put her hand out and said, like, you take this one, will you? To her assistant. So I was kind of just a little bit thrown by that. And I was like, okay. And the assistant says, stand over here. So I stand over there. She says, say your name, height, blah, 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 whatever I did. I don't know. Don't remember the last time I did one of them, but anyway, whatever the questions were. So I do that. She goes, okay. And then she shepherds me over to another mark where I'm going to be doing my audition. And I'm just standing there and it's just silence. And she's still on her phone. I'm just looking at her while she's still on her phone doing whatever it is, the email is. And then she stands up so she's level with me and the camera's here. The camera's here. She stands up there and she's still on her phone. And yeah, she's like that. She just puts it down, picks up the sides, and goes. And I'm just staring at her. And I'm like, will we go now? And she goes, yeah, camera's rolling. I went, okay. And then just this surge of adrenaline came over me and my hands. I could see my hands shake. And I was just like, oh my God. And I had my sides in here just in case, but all the dialogue just left. It might as well have been that I wasn't even there, and I just ended up just trying to hold this still and reading this script, and I just got smaller and smaller and quieter, and by the end of the scene, she goes, "Okay, thank you," and I just left. And the worst part of that was getting into the car with my girlfriend, now wife, and seeing the hopeful look on her face, with a little smile. And she went, well, I couldn't speak. I just shook my head, and we just drove off in silence. That was one of the reason why that's so. The reason why that's the first that comes to mind, and that's so harrowing, I guess, to a certain extent, is because that was the moment that. And I don't in any way blame the casting director. She could have been whatever that she was doing. I was in a really vulnerable. It wasn't that moment that broke me. It was probably a thousand paper cuts beforehand, but that was the fucking the straw that broke the camel's back. That's why I remember it. That's why it's that thing. It's not the million things. So I'm not. She's not responsible for that. She was just. It was just this thing, and the reason why I remember it so well is because from that moment, that was so humiliating. It led into a really ferocious 18 months of a famine-induced career where I fell out of love of acting, fell out of love for myself. My gait was all but gone. I'd look in the mirror and say, "You're an ugly. What are you doing here? You're good at this," and blah blah blah. So that was just one of the things that started this 18 months, and then there's the thing that took me out of it, which was a really my rock bottom moment. I don't know why we're getting into this, but you asked the question about worst audition, and now look where we are. It's counseling. It's therapy. My rock bottom moment was also my turning point to get out of the abyss. And yeah, and then that just led to more and more and more sunshine and gratitude.
What was if you don't mind me asking, what was the moment that kind of lifted you from that?
I was invited. Invited. It was my sister's son's baptism, maybe. She lives in Switzerland. So so I went over with my eldest daughter and my dad. My mum couldn't fly because she's sick. And I was carrying this darkness inside of me, this depression, and I was very sensitive. Things would, yeah, and nobody knew about it. Nobody, least of all my daughter. I protect her from anything, including myself. That's not necessarily a good thing, but anyway, we're there, and myself and my daughter, if memory serves me correctly, we're on an app on the phone. It's a karaoke app. And you can see your face looking back, and the lines are going across the screen, and we're singing a song. I think it's 7 years. I think that's what it's called. And the words that were you going to be in 7 years after this and 7 years after that? And for whatever reason, the words just hit me. And I burst into tears, and I could see my daughter's reaction to looking at me on the app crying, and she burst out laughing, thinking I was joking, and then stopped and realized I wasn't. I dropped the phone and I went upstairs. I try not to get emotional. I dropped the phone and went upstairs, and I went out into the bathroom, and I just stood there, and my dad followed me up, and he goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I'm just so sad. I just can't get out of this darkness. I'm just so fucking sad." Anyway, we were supposed to go home, and my sister said, "Stay." So I stayed, and they went home. I stayed on for another couple of days. Maybe it could have been way longer for all I know. And I was on the phone to Claire, Mrs., and we had an argument because that's where I was. And I hung up, and my sister came up with a laundry basket, and she said, "Everything okay?" And then I burst into tears again. And she put her arm around me, and she held me for a while, and then she said, "Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you. I love you." And that was a sentence. And I was like, that was the thing that was the turning point for me. It was she used that fucking famous quote from Rocky, man. "Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you." And I just had to pull myself together. And that was the moment. That was my rock bottom moment, which ended up being the moment that turned my life around. And I went home. Oh yeah, and I let out a big something lifted. And I went home, and my agent rang. She said, her ringtone is, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse." And I ignored it for a while. And then I rang her back. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I was broke by this point. I had maybe £300 to my name, easily. Less, probably. And she said, because at this point I couldn't book a job to save my life. I was getting a couple of direct offers, but I wasn't happy with them, and I was certainly wasn't happy with my performance. And I was pretty much on the verge of giving up. She said, hey, so there's a part in an online TV series on BBC Three. It's one scene. You play the father of the lead girl. I said, I'll do it. She said, what? I said, I'll do it. I don't care. I just want to tell the universe that I'm willing to work. I don't have any preconceived notions about what I think I deserve, because that's not gonna. I don't want to be specific about what I want, because I'm blocking myself off from all this other magical shit. I'll do it. She was okay. You can do it. But there's also you went down for an audition for Safe, Harlan Coben's Safe. I was like, I don't remember, which won't surprise you. I don't remember. Anyway, so they want to give you the part with Michael C. Hall. We don't know what your character is. We just know that you're in the first 2 episodes. I said, I'll do it. We don't know what the character is. Do I get a scene with Michael C. Hall? Yeah, I'll do it. And I ended up doing these 2 jobs just to tell the universe I'm willing to work. What I didn't know at the time was that the online TV series was by Kay Mellor, Ronan Productions. And when I went in to do my one scene, she was casting for an ITV series called Girlfriends. She said, is Emmett over there? They said, yeah, bring him over. I want him to read for one of these parts. So I went in there and read for the part. She said, the part's yours. I went in and did one scene in one episode of an online series for BBC Three. And I ended up leaving with one of the leads in an ITV show called Girlfriends. Then I'm doing Safe, which was Red Productions, now Key Street Productions. Number 27 on the cast list. But I had freedom. I was just so happy to be working. I was just doing whatever the fuck. I was Red Productions, Nicola Schindler, phenomenal woman. And then they were casting for Butterfly, which was Red Productions and ITV. And I was already doing Safe and Girlfriends. And they said, do you want to do this? Which is the first time I met Anthony Byrne, who cast me, who then cast me in Peaky Blinders, who then cast me in Mobland, who then blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Steve Jobs says you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back. So you have to go through hell, to hopefully get up there. Wow. And it's about, if there's anything to come out of that, it's like, today is difficult, tomorrow is much more difficult. The day after tomorrow is beautiful. Most people die tomorrow evening. Most people die before the sun rises. Don't give up. As dark and as painful as it is sometimes, you don't give up. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, man. That, I think for any actor listening to this, that's gonna ring home 100% for me. I mean that, yeah. We've all been in a position, not necessarily like that, but where you just feel like, fuck, do I just give up? Do I just throw in the towel? And that Rocky quote it's the one, man.
Unbelievable.
And I love that's a full circle as well. Like from the beginning of your career to the lowest moment, it's been there for you, which is quite amazing, really.
It was, it's amazing. It's amazing. I owe so much to the darkness and to the chaos and to the family who stood by me and to my baby sister who was spared Poltergeist and Nightmare on Elm Street.
I wonder if she's seen them now. Emmett, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate this. And mate, you gave me goosebumps.
We're done. We did it.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. You did it.
You should have pressed record.
I didn't record it. No, I'm joking.
This man, what? How are you not on set right now? That was actually beautiful. That was actually beautiful. Listen, I know it's been a lot of to and fro, yo-yoing and all that sort of shit. It's been 2 years in the making because of schedules and my ability to forget shit. So I hope it was worth it, because I love talking to you, man. I think you're a wonderful human being. You've got great energy. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for life in film. I'm so happy for your new family. And I promise that even though I'll forget this, you're a great dude. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Take
thank
care.
you, man.
If you enjoyed this episode and you want to support us, get early access and exclusive content, all ad-free, click and join the Life in Film YouTube channel and become a member now. Thank you to our guest Emmett. Thank you to Sarah Jane at SJ Comms. As always, thank you to our sponsors, movieposters.com and Betterhelp.
I'm Emmett J. Scanlan, or however you want to say your name, and welcome to the Life and Film podcast. And then I can put it at the beginning of the episode. It's not going to be your face, it's just going to be the voice. So your name.
Shut up and let me do it.